And here we go. I'm here. Good morning to everyone that came this early to our conference on DevOps. It's really amazing to see all these people in here. And I'm here to talk to you about my experience of going from developer to DevOps guy. So it was a really nice and bumpy ride, and I think it's a really nice way for you as a developer to get to know what's happening and what is it that we do as developers that we do not understand that's causing pain to people on the other side, which is like what I mostly saw when I was doing my job. So going back a couple of years ago, when I was just a developer, and if you came to me and you asked, well, what do I think about the deployment process that we have? Like if you ask me, like, what's your perspective on how your the stuff that you're producing, the artifacts that you're building are going to staging, going to production, and getting to the customers? And the answer you would get from me would be like, I don't know. Who cares? Like, it's not my business, right? I'm a developer, so why should a developer worry about how the code is getting to production? So I had no idea how the code that I was producing and the stuff that I was building was making its way to the environments where customers were actually using it. I would build the app, I would write the tests, I would run my test suite, I would maybe try on my computer, just run the browser and see how is it looking, and if it's looking good, if there are no really glaring bugs going on, but I wouldn't really worry about it that much. Because once I've built it, and once I have the artifact, once I have something that I can throw out over the wall to the people that are on the other side, the ops people, then I'm like, it's not my job, it's their job to do this kind of stuff. But the ops team on the other side, they care. Whenever there was a new version of the software to publish, their perspective would be no, why is there something new? Why do you want to upgrade this library? Why do you want to upgrade the operating system? Why are you doing all of this change? And did you test this out? And I would be like, yeah, it works on my computer. Right? It works on my computer, so why is this a problem? Why, whenever I'm trying to upgrade something on all of the machines that we have, on all of the dozens of machines that we have, the ops team would be like, oh my god, why are you doing this? Did you test it out? Is it safe? Is it secure? I never worried about it, but because I was running on my machine, it's working, so it's okay for me, because I'm not on call. I don't have to answer the phone when something breaks. So for them, they had a really different perspective. And what we thought, as developers, that you would get this kind of response from everyone in the team. Ops people do not like change, right? They do not like change. Change is bad. Because whenever something changes, something else breaks, right? Whenever there's a lot of change going on and you don't have an automated process to validate everything that's happening, and you don't have a lot of people to watch the environment, to work on everything that's going on in there, and you have this team of developers that is just oh, let's keep on changing and let's not worry about what's happening on the other side. It's not a good position to be in. But for developers, they're just throwing code over the wall, it's not a problem because they're not involved in the problem. And from the developer's perspective, that's what we have. My code is perfect, right? The test suite is green, all the integration tests are green, it's not a problem. And then you get to the deployment and it goes out, it's really, really good. And when it gets deployed, this is what's happened. This is what the ops team actually gets when the code gets to production. It's not pretty. It's a pain. There's a but, and then the answer that they get from the developer is that it's a small fix. It's just to change this small little line of code, and then we're going to push this to production. We don't have to wait for the test suite to run because everything is down. We just have to push it as the way it is. Has anyone done this? Just raise your hand. I don't want to be alone here. So, it's a really small change. Everything is down. Let's do a small change. Let's not run the test suite. Let's publish. Let's break everything again. And this is a cycle that continues to happen whenever you have the separation between the people that are building the code and the people that are pushing this code to the actual environment. And this was the main issue that we had. Like, as developers, we instead of working with the ops team, our goal was how can we go over the ops team and get our code to production. So we were not working together. We were fighting against each other just because from our perspective, they were being mean because they did not want the change. And from their perspective, we were awful people because we were breaking stuff all the time and they get bashed every single night. This is not good. This is really not good, and this is not like how the team should work and how stuff should happen. So what you have is everyone is trying to hit each other. You just have teams that are fighting each other all the time because they're coming from different perspectives and the pains that they feel are different. Like, we had no idea the amount of pain we were like causing to the ops team, and the ops team was just like, guys, just do not send new stuff. Like, let's do like one release every month. Right? Let's at least have a single month where nothing is going to break, where we're going to be working with production, but the developers were like, no, like a month is too long, like have my story ready, I want to deploy right now. Why don't we have continuous delivery? What's preventing us? Like, isn't that cool? Isn't that what every single company should be doing? So, until, oh no, not this guy. No, that's one. So, boss comes in and he's like, we don't have ops people to get your code to production. And the developer's like, what does it mean? And like, well, you will have to wait to get this project that you have just finished to an actual server. And we're like, oh, and what do we have to do? Like, you could become an ops team? Like, yeah. Why not? I'm a developer, right? I can do this. Like, I have the power. I can write the code. I can do anything I want with computers because I'm one of the developers. And the ops team would be like, yeah, you really know what you're doing. Like, really. And when we start actually doing the work, we're like, okay, this is not really what we were thinking. Like, this is not development. This is hard. Like, really hard. It's not like just writing the code and throwing to someone else. There's no someone else on the other side. You have to be on the other side to catch it as well. So we started to be like, maybe there's something else in here. And then there's the pain of going to the bar and drinking a lot of fireballs and not knowing how to find your way back home. So when we actually started to work with this project to get it to deployment, we were like, oh, so that's how awful the kind of stuff that we're doing is when we get it to production? That's how it looks like to actually push this out? So when we started to work on this, we finally got a perspective on what the ops team was doing. And the pain we were causing them, the amount of work that they had to do to make sure our stuff was possible to actually get to servers, to upgrade servers, to make sure all the many dependencies that we had were in place. We were not good at communicating dependencies, so we were running Rails, and many times you have to install like a dependency, like a Ruby gem. And this Ruby gem is going to require native code. But on your machine, you have a lot of stuff installed. You don't remember what kind of dependencies that you have. And when you get to production and you get it to run, you're like, oh, I did not install this dependency. And then it crashes, and then it doesn't build, and then your application doesn't go out because you just didn't think about this. And we were never like going to the people on the ops team and saying, hey, you need to install this new dependency. They would just figure it out. They would run the build, they would like run bundler, they would install the gems would fail, like, oh, there's this dependency that we have to install. So imagine how many times they had to figure out all the different dependencies that we had, and we were not communicating this kind of stuff. Sometimes we didn't even know that they were dependencies, but so we were not paying attention, and this kind of stuff started to be a really it was an eye-opener for the whole team to figure out what's going on and what kind of stuff we're doing to these guys. So, and we were never on call. So, a lot of the issues, like the problems that we saw in the application, were not problems that were like serious to the point where it would simplify the stuff that the ops team was doing, because no one would wake us up like overnight to fix these issues. So what was happening is that if we saw something that was broken and we felt like, oh, it would be good to fix this, we would fix it, but we were not paying attention to the issues that were happening in production and we're taking the systems down because like it wasn't our issue. And then the very first weeks when the systems were going down, we were getting based and we were fixing stuff, we were like, oh, this woke me up this night, so what am I going to do? I'm going to fix it now. I'm going to have it fixed. So next night, this one is not going to wake me up. But we only got this perspective when we were on call, instead of like doing this when the other people were on call and they were having their issues, because the issues that they were having were not being bubbled up to the development team. They were not being prioritized. When we got an issue like from the ops team, we were like, oh, send it to the end of the backlog. We'll fix it in the future. And you know, like the backlog and backlog and backlog, and it never happens. Because it's not a pain that we as a development team are feeling. So this was a really, really bad thing for us in there. And we were like in this safe place. The developers were hidden from all of the issues and all of the pain that was happening across the environments, for all the stuff that was happening. And this is not ideal. Developers should not be hidden, they should not be protected from the stuff that their code is causing in production. Everyone's going to say, oh, but managers have to be hiding all the complications from the product. They should, but the pain that the developers are causing in their environments is not something that you should hide. They should see what's going on. They should understand what their applications are doing and what kind of stuff that's going on in there, because otherwise they would not empathize with the people that are actually doing the work. The people that are pushing this stuff to production, that are maintaining the applications running. So what you have to do, what you have to really do is to make sure your developers understand what is required to get this code out there, what's needed to make stuff work, because you don't want them just thinking, oh, I just throw my code and then it works and then there's nothing else to worry about. That's not how development works, and that's not how development teams should work. So what we went through was this, we had to fix the issue and we had to do it by ourselves because we didn't have people to do the work. So the developer just had to do it, and it was one of the best experiences I had in my life because I was never on the other side. I was never paying attention to what these guys were doing, and there's even this perspective from developers that ops people are less, right? There's going to be this thinking that, oh, it's just a Linux administrator. It's just a guy that runs bash scripts, right? It's just someone that's on that machine who's just going to run a script and it's just going to work. It doesn't require a lot of work. This guy doesn't need to know all of the programming languages that I know because was a developer. It doesn't write Node.js apps. So even this kind of stuff is even this behavior that people are going to be like, oh yeah, but they have a different education. It's really different work and requires a really different tool set and requires a different understanding of what's going on. And there should be a lot of respect for everyone that is doing ops, really a lot of respect. And the more you get into it, the more you understand how complicated all these pieces are and how hard it is to make sure that all of these applications are running correctly on all the servers that we have. So how did it work for us back then? First thing was teamwork. This is the most basic piece that you need. Now that you understand that you want your developers to be doing ops, there should be no separation between the ops team and the development team. They have to be working together. They have to be really close to each other, and as you're jumping a developer to do this kind of ops work, they will really need guidance. So a developer has a really different perspective on how stuff should be built and how stuff actually goes out there. So you need ops people to sit with them and show how it works. So, and back up what the work we were doing, we were using Chef, and it was a Rails app. So at least we knew the language that was being used, so we could just write the recipes in Chef using Ruby. But if you have a different tool in your backend that the developers are using, and the tool that's doing the server management is something else, then it's going to be required some learning in terms of the language is being used and the tools are being used, but you should have ops people involved in this. Don't throw developers like at the fire and expect them to do good work. You really want them to sit with the ops team. You really want to make sure that they are working and moving in the same direction as the ops team. They understand the infrastructure, because the developer is going to be like, oh, why can't I just change everything and make it all better? Why can't I just use Docker and Kubernetes and get it all running? That's not how it works. And developers, most of the time, don't get this perspective. They just think like everything is easy, you can just upgrade, you can just run, and it just works. And in general, that's not how it works for actual production environments. You can't just change everything out of nowhere just because your developers want. So make sure we had a lot of input from the ops team. They were helping us a lot. They were reviewing the stuff, the work that we were doing. They were showing us, so this is how it looks for this application. This is how it could look for your application. Like, build the code, get it out there. So make sure it is easy for developers to access ops team members to do this kind of work. To get together and to make sure everyone understands what's going on. And wear seatbelts. So don't throw developers straight into production, please. It's not going to be pretty. Your databases will disappear, the data will go away, and backups will not be restored. So it's not safe to throw a developer that has no idea about ops into a production environment. I remember like once we were taking down one of the environments that we had. And we were doing it just from one machine, and one of the developers, oh, I really want to help take down machines as well. And the person that was doing the work was like, yeah, go for it. And he took down one of the production databases. And we were just taking staging down. So it wasn't nice, and you don't want to have this kind of stuff happen. And these people are still trying to understand what's going on. So you don't want people that are still trying to understand what's going on to be able to issue commands to destroy servers in production. This is not ideal. So make sure that as developers are growing up and they're getting used to ops stuff, they're allowed to make mistakes, because they're not making mistakes in production. They're making mistakes on the other environments that you have. And this is one thing that we were really into doing. We were making sure that all of the stuff that was being built and the new stuff that was being built was not going straight to production. It was going to its own environment in its own separate pieces. So this was something that made sure that we were not like destroying and causing troubles in production. Get on call. Developers should always be on call. Do not, if a developer is responsible for a project, they're working on this project, they should be on the rotation for this specific project. Like, developers should not be removed from the on-call rotation, because at the on-call rotation is where you see the issues, where you see downtime, where you find the bugs that are causing your application to misbehave. If developers are not on call, they're not being called like at 12 a.m., they're not going to change. They're just going to be like, oh, it's okay, it's fine. Like, there's nothing going on. Like, I'm not getting paid, so there's no issues. The backlog is really huge, because if they get on call, the next day they're going to be like, oh, we really have to fix this, because this won't be up. Right? So it's really important for people that are responsible for stuff, and this is just for everyone involved. Like, anyone that's involved in a project, they should be on the on-call rotation. And it should not be someone that has no idea what's going on. As you all saw in the last presentation, if you don't know how JavaScript works and how to debug JavaScript, how are you going to debug that? So who's the person that will have the best perspective to debug a production issue when it's going on call, if not the developers involved on actually building the application? So these people are going to be the ones that will they will find and figure out what's going on as fast as possible. So these are the people you want. You don't want to have someone just waiting on call, just trying to figure out, trying to read logs when the issue is happening on code or it's an issue on the database. So you want someone that really understands what's going on, and developers should be the people to do this kind of work. And when you get to work on different teams and do this kind of different work, you get an idea of all the different perspectives that are going on in the company. So it's not just the developers, it's not just the ops team, it's all the different teams that are getting together, they're making sure the application is running, everything is working correctly, and it provides a better idea for everyone involved in a project and everything on how it all should work and what work needs to be done for the application to actually run correctly. So it's really important to make sure that you get people to provide input, to provide ideas, to provide details, and to understand what's going on all of the different parts of the company. And as you move people around between teams, and you get developers to also do ops work, you get ops people that are just doing ops to also do development, that everyone understands what's going on a bigger scale. So it's not just like us, like someone sitting in their own like place and doing the work and not worrying about everyone else. It's important for us to understand what's going on across all the different parts of the company, and development and ops really have to be working together at this kind of stuff. And this is like what everyone has been talking about, like it's cross everything. Like you just make sure like everyone just mix and they all do the work together. The difference of having a team where people can do front end, they can do design, they can do ops, and can do development is really, really like amazing when you compare with teams where you have one team that does back end, one team that does front end, one team that does ops. Like the difference between having people from all these different perspectives working together to all the separate teams is huge. Because instead of waiting, because when you have different teams, what would happen is that we would create a card on Jira. We would create a card on Jira and we would say, oh, we want this done from another team. This other team already has their own priorities, they have a lot of stuff that they have to work on, so what's going to happen is that as the cards that were coming for us, developers, after like an on-call rotation, what they would do would be like, oh, it goes to the backlog. Unless someone sits with the team and they're like, oh, can you guys move this card up? We really need this. Or like one of the managers comes in and says like, oh, we really need to have this sorted out and have it fixed. It just doesn't move. It has to become a priority. So when you have people on the team that can do the work, that can do all the different amount of work that are needed for this team to function, what's going to happen is that you get much more productive. And when you remove the separation between development and ops, this is one of the biggest boosts you will get in productivity for teams, is that there's not going to be a separation between, oh, we have to deploy this application and we have to build an application. Building an application is going to provide you with a much better perspective on how it all works. And when you get developers to understand ops, their code gets better. Because they will now think about what's going to happen when this is running in production. It's not just how am I going to get this done, or it's how is this going to affect the environment that I'm running? Is this going to cause more issues? Am I going to be creating more problems when this goes out, or whatever I'm doing right now, this new library that I'm including, is it safe? Is it going to do a good job? Am I going to cause even more issues when this stuff gets out there? So it's really important to provide this kind of perspective for developers, because the amount of work and the kind of work that you do when you understand what's happening on the system that you have on the other side really changes your perspective on building stuff. Like imagine that you're running on AWS or any or DigitalOcean or any cloud provider that's available out there. One thing that I can't say as a DigitalOcean employee is that our network is 100%, it's going to work 100% of the time. But developers, when you're running on your own machine or your own environment, your own data center, you might think oh, it's really it's only us running on this specific data center, so we won't have a lot of issues with networking. But when you understand that you're going to one of these polyclouds, you're going to run your stuff in there, you're running with a lot of people. You're going to get noisy neighbors, you're going to have bursts of network, some people are going to be using a lot, you're not going to be using a lot, and then you need to use a lot, and then the network is going to fail. So even the way you're going to be building software is going to change, because you need to understand what's happening on the other side when it's running in actual production. So your software is going to have to handle the error cases or the lack of a network many more times. It's going to have to handle slow networks. So all of these different things that developers are not going to think about if they're just building an app. It's just everyone is talking about distributed systems right now. But has anyone here, how long has it been since the last time you ran your application at the same machine as your database? How long has it been? It's been really, really long time. So we were running all of these years in distributed systems, but why is the database not a distributed system? Like your application is running on one place, and the database is running on another. And then you have caches. So you don't need microservices to be building distributed systems. Like if you have like a monolith, and your monolith talks to a database, talks to Bencasti, talks to like some kind of service that you have on the cloud that's doing the work, like a payment service, it is a distributed system already. Like it doesn't have to be microservices for it to be a distributed system, but we have this thing where, we have this thing that if it's just like from application to the database, we don't like say that it's a distributed system just because we assume that they're going to be together, they're going to be close to each other, but they're not. They're separate. They're running on separate machines, they're running on separate networks, and once you go on call, you will see all the issues that this is going to cause. You're going to see faded collections, you're going to see applications that open too many collections and are causing the database server to run out of memory. You will going to find like slow queries, and all of this stuff is stuff that developers are only going to see when they're actually being called. Like if they're not involved in this kind of stuff and there's no prioritization on making sure that all these issues like move forward and become visible, then it's going to be really hard for developers to pay attention to all of this. So there should be, for us, when this finally ended and we got the application out there, that it completely changes the dynamics on the team. So instead of us waiting for ops people to do the work, we became ops people as well. So we were not waiting for like the ops team that continued to live even after this happened. But a lot of the development work that was needed on the ops team to get applications out there started to be done by the development team itself. So the development team was pushing new stuff, was getting new applications out there, was evolving our infrastructure with the ops team and doing the work like with them. Maybe it could be better if the ops team like just did not exist anymore and we just had one team that was doing all the work. But the way it was like organized and continued to work, and the ops people were still doing the work, the developers were doing a lot of ops, continuing to do the work that was needed to make sure applications were running, and were on call all the time. So they had to fix stuff, and what happened was that instead of having just one or two people that could push the stuff to production, we ended up with a huge team of people that all knew how to work with the tooling that we had. So if something broke, we wouldn't have to wait for one specific or two specific people to work on it. We had anyone on the development team that could just sit and say like, let's fix this stuff and get this out there. So it was really important for us to remove this wall and not have a separation between the teams, and make sure that whatever was happening and any work that had to be done could be done by anyone. There was no separation between one specific kind of people and the other specific kind of people. And for me and for the other people on the development team, it gave us a really, really nice idea of all the work that needs to be done, and even provided us with something else to learn. So instead of just learning a new language, why don't we learn all the stuff that's required to run the stuff in the cloud? What are the options that we have? How do we use Docker? How do we use Kubernetes? How do we maintain all of these cloud services? So for a developer, it's really exciting to be doing something like this, like doing something new. So if anyone in here is not doing ops right now, it's just doing development, this is a really great experience for any one of you. Like the amount of stuff that you're going to learn, the amount of stuff that's going to happen, and the amount of education and improvement as a person and as a professional that you're going to get by doing this kind of work is really amazing. I really recommend anyone that wants to do ops, any developer that wants to do ops, I would really recommend them to give this a try, because it's an amazing ride. And read Google's answer ebook. So this is like basic. It wasn't available back then when this happened to us, which is unfortunate. But right now, if you are like an ops or a developer, you should get this book. You should read this book from cover to cover. Like it's really going to change your perspective on a lot of this stuff. And I've seen a lot of people say, oh, it's a lot of stuff that we already know. Yes, it's a lot of stuff that we already know, but it's in a book, in a single place, and you can just look at all the different pieces. And it's not specific to how Google does its work. We use a lot of this on DigitalOcean, and we're not at Google scale at all. So I would really recommend anyone that wants to do ops, please get this book. Please read this book, and it's definitely going to change your life. This book was given to me by Gavin Lee. There was a worker of mine. Just raise your hand, Gavin. I see you from here. Yeah. So I would really recommend anyone that's interested on doing ops and to get this book and read it, because it's a really amazing education on how all of this stuff works. And that's it. Do we have any questions?
How did you manage the occasional help that? How did you manage the occasional help that the folks that are formerly developers now serving as DevOps folks on teams would need from what's probably the centralized specialist operations resources?
You mean how they would actually go stop doing development work and do ops work?
Yeah, you talk about how the dev team would need help and guidance and coaching to be better at ops. How did you coordinate that?
Yeah, so at the beginning it was mostly we had to do the work, so they would just get on Slack and ask the ops guy all the time. So it was probably a pain for the guy that was doing this kind of work. It was Richard Henning. So if anyone knows Richard from here, oh, he's right there. Yeah. So Richard knows all the questions I had to ask him all the time. So it was we were not really that organized on making sure this was we had specific moments in time. It was basically we have to do something, and we would ask Rich, and do you have any examples? Do we have any cookbooks that do this? Do you know where we should be looking for resources? So it was kind of ad hoc getting this kind of information out of it. But it was basically just getting to ask the people that were responsible for this kind of stuff before how it was supposed to be done.
We have time for one more question.
So did you have to get any kind of organizational buy-in? Did you have to kind of sell the whole cross-functional team, or was that from the top down effort?
No, my boss just came to me and said, you have to do this because we don't have anyone else to do it. So that was basically what happened. He came to me as Rich is just one person and he's not going to be able to do all the work by himself. So you guys have to step up and do the work. So thankfully we didn't have to go up the chain to make sure that this was going to work. The company itself knew that either we would do this or the project would not be delivered. So it's a small company. It's neat here in Philly, and we didn't have a huge team. We didn't have a lot of people, and we didn't have a lot of money. So it was kind of easy for my boss, which was Travis Truman back then, and he said you guys have to do it. You just have to get it done and move forward. But if you need to do this at a bigger company, you can just show all the adventures that are going to happen. We have a lot of people that can do the work instead of having well sold in very specific places. It improves productivity in ways people are not going to see by other kind of stuff. So it's a really, really important change that I think it should happen in every single company. There should be no separation between the people that are doing development and the people that are doing ops.
All right, that's all the time we have. Thank you, Mauricio, for your fantastic journey from Dev to DevOps. At 10:25, we're going to take a short break. Oh, yes. Lost.